Hey, is it going to work? Well, we're trying to do some video again and to finish out the book of Chronicles. And we worked ourselves all the way up into chapter 35. Oh, this is going to be a good one. And I'm going to try to get you all the way through the end of this to the very end. We're going to do some skipping in, but yet some highlighting in into these last few chapters here to finish out the Chronicles and how it all plays a role in our lives and in our kingdoms and our nations, our rulers, every bit of this that was given unto Israel and that happened unto Israel. And for their own doings, the same as our nations and countries around the world. Oh my goodness, this chapter 35 is going to be a good one. Yes, sir. There's a lot of stuff I'd like to be able to pull out and bring and present on the screen to show all of you, to go in relation with all of this into other chapters and things that happened and what was done and what happened in the outcome. Man, it takes a long time to get through some of this. But anyway, it's my birthday today. It's December the 23rd, 2016, and it hasn't been the best year for my life and my home and my finances at all. It's been one of the worst. And there's others, I guess, in my growing up and back in my 20s, it was maybe even worse than this. But here it is again. Everything just falls apart. Nothing wants to work out right. Needing miracles from heaven that can only come from heaven to help us so we can keep going. And I don't know. That's all we can do. And that's all we got. We got to keep going. We got no choice. No matter how bad it looks, no matter what comes against us, no matter what happens, the Lord's will be done in every bit of it. Oh, what do we do? Say your prayers. Try not to be late. You're going to get another check mark. We got to go keep all these people happy and smiling to see if we got anything left. But then we get to hand it all out. In most cases, people like us, there ain't nothing left. Man, I've lost paycheck after paycheck this year, especially with that surgery stuff. Well, thank you, Lord, that they fixed me along the best they could, and I'm breathing. But why'd you preserve me? You know, if this is the best my life's ever going to be, then I'd rather you just take me and let me put me back where this all started. You know, I spoke to heaven in that dream and vision that we gave you in all those films, and breaking it all down. But it to find out all it's going to do is fall on deaf ears. Unless this stuff comes from the renowned, the lifted up, and the highly esteemed, those who's got thousands and millions of people listening to their sermons and preaching and teaching, and people being healed, and they got all these things that they can show the world of what they've been doing for the Lord, and basically nobody's going to be listening to somebody like us. Neither would they listen to Jeremiah and all those other prophets. That's when they tried to warn them, to help them, to show them. And even if we show them of a truth, it's always proven to be that the gospel people will not listen. They'll always follow the lifted up and highly esteemed. This is all they've ever done. Throughout history, all the way into our lifetime, and this is all they've ever do. And it all plays a role to their own shame. Of the Lord said over and over, He'd hide wisdom and knowledge from the wise, the prudent, the lifted up. And He'd reveal it unto the babes, those who didn't have a name. He would reveal the most beautifulest insight and give it to them and not them. But there's no getting any of those people to shut down. No, there's not. No, no. No matter what we bring, even they will attack us and tell us where we're all going wrong and how we handled our life all wrong, and how we need to do this and this and this and this so we can straighten up to be just like them, and look how successful they are, and if we'll just do the same and follow them, then we'll end up with the same success that they've all had. No, we won't. No, there's too many people in the world. You know, in that vision, the Lord said, hear all of heaven. Hear all of heaven. My truth shall go forth. But that's all of heaven. He said, hear all ye angels, hear all ye prophets. But that's heaven. That's up there, wherever that is. There's the throne and the kingdom of heaven with his Son to the right hand. We've got all these scriptures that has to be fulfilled. And it proves without a doubt that the world's not going to hear. It proves without a doubt the nations are not going to take heed. It proves without a doubt that not even the ministers are going to see the greater insight. It proves without a doubt that they're going to fall into the most perfect snares and traps. It proves that the world's going to turn out to be one great big worldwide disaster, all the way to the end. But now maybe we'll get a little bit of hope in turning things around. Maybe again, like these good kings and bad kings that we've been given right here out of the books of Chronicles, and that's also recorded in the books of Kings that we're going to be doing later, coming through a series of the book of Kings to show you the relations and everything that's right here in the Chronicles. But that'll come later as we get time, and that's if we get time. What do you do? Why give a bunch of stuff that nobody's really going to listen to? That really nobody cares. And right now it's Christmas, you know, all this stuff. You can't even speak. You can't even use that word anymore. You know, they've taken that away from all of us practically. And then the gospel people want to fight. Well, when was he really born? Who cares? It doesn't matter. The fact is, the best that he was born with the Mother Mary. Fighting over the season and the year. You know, telling us we're not allowed, we don't need to be celebrating anything about this Christmas stuff and get rid of all this stuff because we got the wrong season, we got the wrong time. It doesn't matter what time it is. We're supposed to be celebrating the resurrection of the Lord Jesus every day. Every day is a birthday to him. Every day. He conquered death victoriously. Rose again to be with the Father, for the Father would raise him up to sit him at his right hand. One day he'll part those clouds and say, come up hither. But who knows when that's going to be? And the way it looks with all this stuff we're going, it shouldn't be that long. But who knows? Even the apostles thought it would be all the way back then. And look how many thousands and thousands of years it took to even get to us. And who knows? That's something only the Lord knows. He sets the time of allowing the world to have a free right to hear, forbear, for it to go around the world, and it has. But look at what in the world they've sent. Everlasting wind of doctrine with them. And if we don't agree with all their doctrines, then they ain't going to listen to us. No. You know, everybody's ready to wanting to hear the Christmas stories every year. You know what I mean? Well, fine. I mean, hey, beautiful stories. But we're working our nations, our countries, into world disasters. There'll always be this calming down and the restructuring from the disasters. But then when everybody least expected, wham, there it is, into all of our nations around the world. And we all said, come quickly. Lord, get us out of here. Hey, won't have to worry about a house payment no more. The light bill's being paid on time. Is the car going to stay running in the driveway? Half the time we can't get him out of the driveway because it always broke down all the time. Oh, man. Yeah, you preachers are spoiled. Yeah, with what you get to bring, just keep everybody smiling and happy. Yeah, okay. This Second Chronicles, it's a chapter 35. And to get through all of this, over here in the chapter 36, I guess it is. Yeah, that's some reading to do. And it's awesome things that took place within this. We had all these good kings and bad kings and good kings and bad kings and kings that started out really bad, and then the Lord got their attention the hard way. Well, that's how the Lord's going to do it right here in the very, very end. He's going to get their attention the hard way. Their eyes have to be woken up and their ears and hearts the hard way. You'll notice some really cool stuff in here, in this chapter 35. This Joash, or Josiah, you see, just glancing at it again. Because it's been a few weeks since I brought anything. I ain't had the best report that I could bring to tell you that, hey, everything's going to work out just perfect. Well, I don't have that yet. So maybe you people say a prayer for me in my life, in my home. Because I've done prayed and prayed and prayed. The Lord's will be done. Ain't nothing I can do. But this Josiah, right here in chapter 34, he's doing his best to get the lands cleaned up again, and even the temple and Judah. And he had already sent word over there into the 12 tribes of Israel, into the other 10 tribes, because they didn't have at this time, their own given king of Israel, of the 10 tribes of Israel, into the north, because they had already been taken out and scattered well over 20, 30 years. Some were right up in there, if not 40, scattered over into the inhabitants of Babylon. So they didn't have their own king at this time, given into the tribes of the north. They were under the king of Babylon. So this Josiah, he's trying to get word into all of the lands out there. Hey, if we got any Hebrews and Jews that's left, you need to get in here and attend the feast days, and get yourself down here, and the Lord will honor this. Well, many of them wouldn't go. They didn't want nothing to do with Judah. You know, and the reasons why Judah was going into the abominations too. But then when they tried to clean things up, we got all these other people saying, oh, no, we ain't following that stuff. Here we go. No matter what you bring, somebody's always going to bring the opposite. The same thing today. No matter what we bring the people today, somebody will always bring the opposite. No matter what we bring into the end times, somebody's going to bring the opposite. And say, oh, no, I just don't see that. Well, remember, he reports he cannot see that. They report with their own mouth. They testify with their own heart that they can't see it. It's amazing what the Lord has hid right there within his own word and within all these stories. Oh, it's amazing. But this Josiah, he ordered that, you know, to go into the temple and let's get that stuff, those abomination things back out of there. Now, it don't belong in the temple. Get rid of it, smash it, and let's do things the way the Lord gave Moses. So here he's trying his best to straighten up the land, another one, of the lineage of King David, of a royal grandson, all the way down there, under his term. And he was just a youngin' when he took the throne. Again, youngin' after youngin' was given the throne of the survivors of the lineages of King David. That's who was set on the throne of David, people. Even at the very end, even the anti. And then the true king, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, he's going to take the throne of David at the very, very end. He will reign over all the tribes and all the nations, Jews and Gentiles alike. Yeah, because he done separated them. And now he's returning with all of the saints and all of the harvest to take the throne of David in the battle of Armageddon. Ooh, he's going to take the throne of David. Yep, he's going to ride up into the temple. And he's going to cleanse it by his very presence with all those angels. Devil, get off my throne. Get out of my seat. Get that crown off of him. Take that ring off of his hand. Get that scepter out of his hands. Get out of my seat. You had your time. Oh, yeah. He's going to take care of him in the end. But that's all the way to the very, very end. And then some other stuff's going to happen way, way, way after that. Oh, yeah. We done went through chapters and chapters of that. But anyway, this chapter here, it's got some really cool stuff in it. Of how it's giving you more insight of him cleaning up the temple with the priests and getting them to do what was right, what was ordered. Those are the priesthood and how they was to handle all this stuff. The sacrificing and all this stuff, and keep the feasts and the royal feasts, and to keep everything in order. And he's telling them all, you do what the Lord told Moses, and let's get it done. There's some really cool stuff here in this chapter 35, 2nd Chronicles. It says, moreover, Josiah kept the Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. Well, there was a time back in the back, way back here, that they couldn't do it in the first month because they didn't have everything ready prepared when things was finally trying to get straightened out. So they went and done it in the second month, said, Lord, will you honor this? We're sorry we didn't get to do it in the first, but you understand that we didn't have all this stuff and we were in trouble anyway. So now he's doing his best to keep what was commanded from the Lord unto Moses to the children of Israel, of that they was to keep in the first month on the 14th day of the first month. So now he's doing his best to keep this. And he set the priests in their charges and encouraged them to the service of the house of the Lord. Now watch verse 3. And said unto the Levites that taught all of Israel, which were holy unto the Lord, watch what it says. Put the holy ark in the house which Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, did build. For this to be put back into the ark, into the temple, in behind the holiest of holies, up behind the veil, where it was supposed to be. This means they had a way of getting it out. Every time those kings and priests went into the abominations, they had a way of getting the Ark of the Covenant and the holy royal things out. They didn't stay behind the veil. Nobody was allowed to go back there other than the high priest. So for them, the king to command, let's put the holy ark back in, let's get the temple cleansed up, and let's put the holy ark back in the holiest of holies. They had a way of getting it out and taking it and hiding it for another time until things were cleansed the way they were supposed to be and done the way they were supposed to be. You'll even notice that when King David was fleeing and actually just trying to stay away from harming his own son, when his own son was rose up against him, out of your own seed, David, out of your own bowels shall he rise up against thee. It was all, same thing here in the very end with this anti. But you'll notice that even with King David, at that time, that one of the sons, and I forget which one, to give his name, was after King David, his own father. When you find him, we're going to kill him. His own son. And King David had the priest. He had needed a way of escape and getting away from his son. He didn't want to harm his son. He told him, touch him not. When you find him, you bring him to me. And we know some of the stories of what happened. King David and the priest actually had brought out the Ark of the Covenant out of the holiest of holies. And they brought it over there to the river of Jordan. And when the priest stepped foot down into the waters rolled up again, just like the children of Israel came over the first time and crossed over into the lands there against Jericho. Right over there, somewhere outside the palace and the kingdom and the temple and all of that, the priest took the Ark of the Covenant out there, and those waters rolled up, and King David and his family went over across. over into Jordan to in the middle of the night. Nobody saw this, but it was recorded that this took place. They were allowed to bring it out. They wanted to go over there with King David. And King David said, oh, no, 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 no. You priests, you take this and put it back into the temple where it belongs, where it's supposed to be. I can't be bringing it over here into Jordan. Well, maybe that was a tabernacle that they repitched, because King Solomon, his son, was the one who built the first temple. So you see how easy it is to get some of these stories mixed up into others? You see how easy it is? Well, it is. But stop and think. They did take this Ark of the Covenant to the river, and King David was allowed a way to escape. He's already king. He's already reigning, and his sons are after him. So wait a minute, which story are we getting mixed up in? Ain't that something? Oh, well, may you forgive me. You know, putting things back into memory. It's a big old book to try to figure out and put together in his perspective. And that's why they can't do the revelations. How do you, there's stories there if we just dig them out. And it was when one of his sons was trying to chase him down. And he told him to put it back in. This is evidently why King David was still alive. Man, now we got to go chase that story back down again. Just so we're not misrepresenting it, or someone's going to tear me alive. Anyway, the thing is that they had, right here, he's telling them to put the holy things back in the temple and get this place cleaned up. And they did. Telling everybody you're going to stay in your order, things that was given you, that's where you need to be. Chapter verse 6, so they killed the Passover and sanctified yourselves and prepared your brethren that they may do according to the word of the Lord by the hand of Moses. And Josiah's given people all kinds of stuff, of food and stuff, and giving it stuff that belonged to the priests, their inheritance of things to eat, after things to be prepared. Oh goodness. And now they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in the first place, or was to, but they couldn't because they couldn't keep the order. Verse 11, it says, and they killed the Passover, and the priests sprinkled the blood. Remember the sprinkling? That's supposed to be making atonement for the sin. And they roasted the Passover in verse 13. And they're doing all these things that they're finally supposed to have been doing and trying to do things right. Well, that's what we're trying to do with our own country now, with this new president-elect. Thank you. Save the children. Save the unborn. Where the lady that wanted to be president, she didn't care. That's still a child in the womb. It's breathing air. Where they getting air? Down in that water. Waiting to be born. Ain't that something the old spirit of Satan's always wanted to do? Kill the child. Get rid of them. All the stories of where they killed the children of Israel. chasing them all down because they was getting to be too many, thinking they would thin them down. But the Lord had a way of preserving his own royal people every time, no matter what they tried. And he'll do this very same thing in the very end with all of this. They kept the unleavened bread. They kept the Passover, and it says in verse 16, verse 17, and the children of Israel that were present kept the Passover at the time and the feast of unleavened bread 7 days. In remembering the Passover. And there was no Passover like that kept in Israel from the days of Samuel the prophet. Remember him? And they said, the Lord said, Samuel, they haven't rejected you as being a judge over them, for they have rejected me when I am their king. Nevertheless, set a king over them, so I've chosen me one that stands above all of the people. Kadane. And how it's always played a role in Israel, and even in the very end. No Passover was ever kept all that time, a royal one, because they couldn't. From the days of Samuel the prophet, neither did all the kings of Israel keep such a Passover as Josiah kept. The priests, the Levites, all of Judah, all of Israel that were present, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. In the 18th year reign of Josiah, which was this Passover. And after this, when Josiah had prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, came to fight against Charchemish by Euphrates. Uh-oh, here there comes in people down from the north again. But he's of Egypt. This fella got some armies up in there, bringing them in, coming down. And Josiah went out against him. Now Josiah, this king of Egypt and all these other armies, they were after all these others. They wasn't after Judah. They told Judah, you best stay away, stay out of this. We're not after you, and it's even told right here. We're not after you, but yet we got armies coming in, and Israel is Israel. Even the lands to the north, they're wanting to try and help preserve and keep as well, and maybe get some of those lands back into Israel. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, what have I to do with thee, thou king of Judah? I come not against thee this day. You see, he's trying to tell him, you best stay out of this. We're not after you, but against the house wherewith I have war. For God commanded me to make haste, forbear thee from meddling with God, who is with me, that he destroy thee not. Here this king and ambassadors is trying to warn the king of Judah. You best stay out of this. We're not after you, but yet the king of Judah is standing up to defend all of Israel and the people that's still scattered within. Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguised himself. Remember the disguising of in the story of King of Ahab and Jehoshaphat, and all that battle that took place, that one to where they'd done some switch swapping, and a surprise, it was the king of Jehoshaphat in the middle. Well, now we got another king here of a lineage of King David all the way down in, and he's going to try to pull those surprise as well. Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguised himself that he might fight with him. He's going to, hey, I'm coming at, hey, you going to come after our people? Even though I'm not reigning over all those lands up there, Hey, I'm going to protect our Israel. You see, so you can see the man's heart, that he might fight with him, and hearken not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God. See, now we got an army of enemy that's coming down after the children of Israel and all these other territories again, and the Lord is sending them for the very same reasons, for all their approving the things that God declared to be an abomination. But so did those nations that was coming down. He would use the most evilest nation and use evil against the evil for what they have approved. And hearken not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. Yeah, that's a great big valley out there. Well, there's been a lot of bloodshed and wars and battles throughout the centuries. And there's bound to be some more again. When you chase down this Megiddo in that valley, oh yeah, and where it's at. Mm-hmm. Yep. And now, uh-oh. Now what? We got a king of Judah getting shot with an arrow this time. Uh-oh, we had a king up there, some kings of the north getting shot with an arrow. Remember that? Somebody got him. And he stayed himself up, and yeah, and prophecy was fulfilled by the prophets of what was going to happen to that king. Okay, but now we got one of Judah. And the archers shot at the king Josiah. And the king said to his servants, have me away. He said, get me out of here. I got hit. For I'm sore wounded. Well, he got hit. Somebody got him evidently with an arrow. Another one. But this one's of Judah, of King David's lineage. Well, he wouldn't listen. And yet he thought he was doing things right. Ain't that what we got in our nations today? No matter what we bring, they're not going to listen, but yet they still think they're doing what is right. They won't listen to the word of the Lord, and neither will they hear me when I tell them who this anti is going to end up being. Won't do me any good. They wouldn't believe the truth. They won't receive it from somebody who ain't got a name. But if the big shots on TV bring it, oh, they'll run to the bookstores to see what the man wrote. Go play somewhere else. Somebody got him. And his servants therefore took him out of that chariot and put him in the second chariot that he had, and they brought him to Jerusalem, and he died. And was buried in one of the sepulchres of his fathers, and all of Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Josiah. Yeah, he'd done some really good things for the people, and for the temple, for the priesthood, the nations, the tribes. And here again, we're all just as guilty when the Lord says, this is what I need you doing, and we're not listening. Because we're going, who in the world told you to tell me? And just who are you, right? You could see that with that king. And all that, right? Just who are you to tell me? You ain't even, but the man was right. And Jeremiah laminated for Josiah and all the singing men and the singing women, spake of Josiah and their lamentations to this day, and made them ordinances in Israel, and behold, they are written in the lamentations. Yeah, they are. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah and his goodness, and according to that which was written in the law of the Lord, his deeds, his first and last, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. Everything verifies itself. We're going to find more insight to these stories that's going to be written over there versus what's written here. But every bit here verifies what's happened over there, and over there verifies what's happened even over here. Always backing itself up in every way. So now in chapter 36, it's getting into Nebuchadnezzar and all this stuff that's coming down. you know, and he ends up coming down in 3 times against Judah. The third time, they wouldn't leave until they stripped it to the ground and took the spoils for their own doings. Oh. In chapter 36, then the people of the land took Jehoahaz, the son of Josiah, and made him king in his father's stead in Jerusalem. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. He didn't get long. Well, these armies are coming in for Judah's own doing. And the king of Egypt put him down at Jerusalem and condemned the land in 100 talents of silver of gold. He said, I'm taxing you for this. Oh, you're going to be taxed for coming in and straightening this mess out. That's what you're going to bring in the silver and the gold. Yeah, they come after the gold, right? And the king of Egypt made Elikahim, his brother, king over Judah and Jerusalem, and turned his name to Jehoiakim. And Nicole took Jehoahaz, his brother, and carried him to Egypt. He's getting carried up over there. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and he did that which, here we go again. Every time the forefathers was trying to turn things around, and now we got the next ones coming in, going, and they're stripping it again, allowing all the evilness to, and approving the things that God says was an abomination. All of it. Here we go again. All of our nations are guilty. So how long are we going to get with this new president-elect? I pray we get time to turn a whole bunch of it around for a while. But here they come. Eventually, here they come. No matter what we bring, they're going to turn it around and go right back into the abominations, and the people will love it and approve it. That's all they've ever done through history in all of our nations around the world. And he began to reign. He reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God. Ouch. Again. Here we go. Against him came Nebuchadnezzar. Here's that bad dude reigning over 127 provinces. Hey, he's got emperors and powers and kings and princes, and oh man, he's got power of nations gathered to him. The king of Babylon, and bound him with feathers to carry him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried of the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon. It's the vessels. Let's talk about the spoons and the cups, people. The spoons and the cups and stuff like that. Not the table of showbread. The royal altars that was in there before the veil. The Ark of the Covenant. The cherubims that was above the ark. That stuff was already hidden long before the king of Babylon came to tear that temple down. They got the spoons and vessels, and that's what's been recorded, that they took over into Babylon, and that's what was returned later in time when they were allowed to go home in that 70-year span. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and his abominations which he did, and that which was found in him, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and of Judah. And Jehoiachin his son reigned in his stead. Jehoiachin was 8 years old. Here we got another youngin. When he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days. Well, he didn't get much at all either. In Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon. He's going to get taken to Babylon with the goodly vessels, and now they're taking whatever they made again, taking all the rest of that, and they're taking the vessels, the spoons, the cups, and stuff like that, the piddly stuff, not the real cool stuff. That was hidden long back in Jeremiah's day. Dang, and it was proven this. Yep, and King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon with the goodly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king of Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. Here we go. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord his God, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, Remember him? Lord told Jeremiah, you get the priests and go take the holy things that be and go put them up. The royal things, go put them up. That's all it was stated. It didn't record what they took. But the evidence is clear. They didn't get the things from behind the veil. Jeremiah was told to go take that stuff and go put them up, and they would not be shown again until it was time to bring them out and to place them where they belonged. Humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, speaking from the mouth of the Lord. Yeah, that's what we feel, even in our ministry out there. No matter what we try to tell them, they're lifted up in high esteem, ain't going to listen to what we're trying to tell them. We're trying to tell you, big boy. Not even you would listen. I don't care if you get 500,000 hours of study and half of the world following you. There's all these things you're not seeing. And he also rebelled against the king of Nebuchadnezzar, who made him to swear by God. But he stiff-necked his neck and hardened his heart from turning unto the Lord God of Israel. Moreover, all the chief of priests and the people transgressed. But here we go. They just kept on going. Well, the king's doing it. Kings, all of them's joining in. The whole land's doing the same thing. Look at our nations now, of what they're all joining in. Transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen, and polluted the house of the Lord, which had hallowed in Jerusalem. Well, look at what they're trying to tell everybody we got to approve now and accept. Weddings of all different kinds. Priests telling the Lord now approves. Ooh. And polluted the house of the Lord, which he had hallowed in Jerusalem. And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up bedtimes. Ain't we all done this? And sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. They'll do the same thing to all the people I have that sticks with me and to me. But they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets, until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy. This is what those people of the net will do to me, and all the people that I have that'll even stick with me. Preachers of renown will attack me. Pastors of their own churches. Counselors do nothing but attack us. There's nothing we can do. There's no stopping them. But as I stated in all those other films, I'd want to go on record in front of the whole world. Ye do greatly err in your learning when you preachers tell the whole world and all these nations and the people of the church, proclaiming the anti is going to be a Muslim or an Islam, the real one. You've lost your cotton picking mind, preacher. I don't care how big your name is, and I just don't care how many millions of people you have following you and donating to you. Maybe you get to fly to Israel 30 times a year. I don't care. You get to be responsible for what you've taught the people to believe, the way you see it, the way you understand it, and the way you believe it. Not even you. Well, listen, and I can name the renowned. I can name hundreds of them. Just rattle the names right off here. All you got to do is pick them. Anybody you think of on the TV that teaches about the end times, they've all followed in. They've all joined in because somebody says he sees it that way. Because he's done so many millions of hours of studies. Well, you're not the only one, big boy. And the Lord said he would hide wisdom and knowledge from them, that he would reveal it unto the babes. All they do is get the people to look the other way. And they're totally convinced that they have it in understanding. They got some good stuff for the Lord. But when it comes to truly knowing the end times and how it's really going to be, the Lord said he would hide wisdom and knowledge from them. So go play. Because I'd like to go on record in front of everyone. And I will in front of heaven. Oh, they heard me back there in those dreams. And when I was given all those dreams, that I got to do all that speaking before the Lord. And there he was. But it still hasn't turned my life around. It still hasn't helped me for the best in making a respectable living. I'm still trying to figure out what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How can I keep things going? Nobody's going to donate this way. They ain't done it yet. To help me out, my family, my home, my living. Verse 16, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy. Every bit of this is going to play its role to the very end. Therefore he brought upon them the king of Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of the sanctuary. You see where everybody run to? They ran to the house. They ran to the temple. Save us, O Lord. He didn't. What do you think is going to happen right here at the very, very end? All those people running to the temple, crying out, save us. Running to all these churches, busting down the doors, climbing in the windows. To when the command's been given out, surround the city and take them. Either they take the mark or they're going to die. Where do you think all these people are going to run to? Just like they did back here in this Bible, people. Just like they did back here in the days of old. All in there crying out, Lord, come and save them. He's not. They'll be given a choice and be drugged out in the streets in front of everybody. Maybe they'll drag you out first, preacher. Who told them your church is going to get them through the tribulation? You lying, stacking preacher. You need your credentials stripped from you because you get to lead these people by your own understanding instead of accepting what's written in your own Bible and in your own word. Slew their young men with a sword in the house of the sanctuary and had no compassion upon young man or maiden, old man, or him that stooped for age. Yeah, what do you think is going to happen in the very end? He gave them all into his hand. All those vessels, the treasury, and the treasurer's house, and the king, treasures of the king, and all those brought to Babylon. They still didn't get the Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, the candlesticks, the cherubims. That stuff was hid long back in the days of Jeremiah before they came to tear it down and burn it to the ground. And they burnt the house of God and brake down the wall of Jerusalem and burnt all the places thereof with fire and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. And them that escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servants to him and his sons until the reign of the king of Persia, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath. Yes, she has. To fulfill 80. and 10 years. That's 70. Whoop, and then you can all see, you got the king of Persia, and Cyrus, King Cyrus, and remember the stories that all happened with him. And how even Babylon ended up being destroyed too, from the king of Persia that came in. It all plays its role all the way to the very, very end. Anyway, I wanted to finish this. Don't know how well it's going to turn out. Got into all that other stuff, but I'm sorry. I just wanted to finish this. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year's and all of that. I pray you all have blessings your way and angels protect you and keep you all out of harm's way. I hope you enjoyed some of these series that we were doing. Hope you got some insight out of it. May you say a prayer for me and my family. I'll say a prayer for you and yours. And may you all be blessed in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.